Hello Giants fans, welcome to Giants Baseball 101. I'm Gabe Vaughn, your host. The Giants beat the A's 4-3 today. The A's, I think they're going to be a team to beat this year. I have no reasonable doubt that the Giants will win both sides of the Bay Bridge series, so if you're looking for some optimism, some positives about how the Giants roster is structured, even though it fell short of our expectations, we can say that it certainly is a lot better than that of a team like the A's. The A's are just having several organizational problems, and they don't have a high payroll. They're out of contention. I don't expect them to be in it this year. So the Giants, whatever else we can say about them, they're certainly looking a lot better than the A's. So they win 4-3 today. Ross Stripling pitched almost 3 innings. He gave up 2 runs. While that's solid, it maybe isn't the very best we could see from him. He's kind of going to need to look a little bit more like an ace this year, pitching probably behind Logan Webb as the number 2 starter for the Giants, and he's going to have to look, well, pretty good and also, be able to carry the Giants even on days when the offense is a bit slow. That's what we kind of need to hope for from at least the first couple of starters in the Giants rotation, that they can kind of keep the team in the game even when the offense is a little slow to get things going early. But it was solid for Stripling, and so we'll hope for the best on him. For what the market had at the time, he was probably one of the best options the Giants could have picked up. And he's had a lot of success. He's been an all-star in his previous career. Tristan Beck also pitched 2 2/3 innings, didn't allow any runs. I think there's a good chance that we'll see him doing multi-inning work this season. Whether he'll be a starter or not, I don't think that his first outing of the season will be as a starter, but there's a good chance we're going to see him doing multi-inning work. And since the Giants have expressed that they could use a bit less conventional pitching methods, I'm not sure if that will include maybe even late inning work on occasion for Beck, if he'll be going even trying to protect 1 or 2 run lead or a tie game. I probably don't see that they'll have need for that too often, but I think it's possible that he will get into games that are a bit maybe more high leverage than you usually look for from the multi-inning relievers. But we'll see. Thairo Estrada had a double and a triple today. He's hitting for those extra base hits. That's a great sign to see from him. He's a good player to have in the organization, if not one of the top ones in baseball. He's still, I think, a great guy to have in the organization, and he has had a lot of clutch hits, I think, last year in 2022. Joey Bart had 3 at-bats today, didn't get hit in any of them. He's definitely behind Blake Sabol right now. His average does still sit above 300. You can't pay too much attention to that right now, so Bart, he could still go one way or the other. I still think that Sabol is definitely first in line to be the starting catcher for the Giants if they're just looking at immediate performance, which I think they should be. I mentioned that. I think they should be looking to create runs and prevent them and win games, and that it's as straightforward as that. So that means that if Joey Bart can't be the starting catcher because another guy's getting past him, that's the way it's got to be. But like I said, his average is still above 300, so that is promising, at least for right now. But we still need to see if this is just kind of some random fluctuation or what it is. But I think this day for Bart would just be a real disappointment in his case because he knows he has to keep up with Blake Sabol. It could be, though, that Bart's starting catcher spot is fairly solid, since Sabol would have been an extreme underdog even to make the roster in the first place. Now he's getting consideration. Whether it should be the case or not, I think it is possible that Bart's starting spot is pretty much secure at this point, although Gabe Kapler said he'd have to earn his spot on the opening day roster, so you would think that would mean that if he and another guy are going to make it, it would be based on performance who gets a starting spot. So I don't know what the status of things are right now, but I mean, you would think the Giants would be giving some consideration to making Blake Sabol their starting catcher. I just don't know what they're doing in that regard right now. He didn't play today, but yesterday he had a homer, 2 other singles, and 2 walks. He's just been crushing that ball. So the Giants need to be seriously considering him as the starting catcher. He's not cooling off as spring training is going along. He's going to crack the team, at least if he continues. And Bart, he wasn't favored by the Zips projections, nor is he favored by his performance over the past 3 years, but he was a top prospect, and it could be just needed to get used to the majors. Some of them do, so we're going to still keep up hope for him as well. Wilmer Flores also hit a 2-run shot. So the guys that the Giants are going to be counting on this year, it seems like they're all solid to good, and today they beat the A's with it, and they're still using relievers out of the pen that maybe aren't going to be on the opening day roster, and they got guys in the lineup, even though the starting rotation, for the most part, they've pretty much integrated their likely opening day starting rotation into those 5 spots, I think. But the roster, it's still going to have to be perfected a little bit to get everything ready for opening day. So things do still look decent for the Giants. They're in much better position than some teams. Definitely a contender, and you see the potential in multiple areas of the roster. It just needs to stay up there and stay consistent. An update on Mitch Haniger. I did my reading this time on the Giants website, so I know I should have done that yesterday, but I did it today. He expects to be ready for the opening day roster, which would be a good thing because really the Giants can't afford to lose out on defense for any reason really, but particularly because of injuries. If they have quality players, you could do all the adding on you want. If all those players get injured, it's not going to do you any good. Austin Slater, too, is dealing with something. It's not certain whether he'll be ready for opening day, and it's not so much the Giants don't have options. They could be looking at their non-roster invites, one of whom is Stephen Piscotty. He used to be a real good player. I don't know his history, what declined his career to the point of having to be content with a minor league deal this year. But the Giants do have options at outfield, but we're just looking for the most quality options, and I don't know the numbers defensively for everybody that they got in their mix, but as few injuries as possible, that's going to be the thing. And if guys can play through little things without diminished performance as a result, it'd be great, honestly, if they could do that. And Mitch Haniger, he needs to rehab hard here because the Giants signed him to a lot of money. They'd be paying him quite a bit to be inactive, and they're going to have to at least somewhat reap the benefits of the players that they added on last offseason. They didn't add on what we expected. I know I keep saying that, but they added on some fairly quality players. They're going to have to reap the benefits of those and not have them get injured and just be back to where they were before in 2022. Something has to change, and it has to be really immediate in 2023. They need to start the season solid. If they can do that, it'll be hanging on for them. It's not that they have not been known to have hot streaks in the middle of seasons that they kind of struggle at the beginning of. They just haven't turned those seasons into ultimate playoff appearances. It's not really that the Giants have had like a single year in the past 4 where they haven't shown some extremely hot potential. It's just that only one of them was a playoff year because things weren't consistent. That's what's got to change in 2023. Some things are here. The things that aren't, some of that's consistency. And that is the main thing that has to change. Because then, if the Giants can fix some of those issues, they might be able to do it. Not disregarding the stuff they showed in 2019 or 2020 with all the bad things you can say about those years. They fell off because some things went wrong. They just need to prevent things from going wrong. 2022, it was a pretty hot start to the season. What went wrong there? In July, it was ridiculous how they fell apart in the second half of the season. It can't go wrong in 2023. I could see a wild card spot. I could see a potential shot. It might seem like a slim chance to some. I could see a potential shot at winning the World Series here. But things just can't go wrong. They can't do what they did in 2022 or some of those previous years that made the Giants plummet. 2021 was the only season of recent times where they consistently were just hot and on fire. But they might have it here. Things just can't go wrong. I don't know how I could say that any stronger. And somehow the Giants are just going to have to figure that out. Part of it's a trade deadline. If they added anyone of any value in either of those, like 3 of the 4 past years, no, 2021 they added on Chris Bryant, and he was pretty, I mean, maybe not for what Bryant is, but he did plenty for the Giants when he came, compared to the average player. And, I mean, from the front office's perspective, he, for all they knew, he might as well have been a star. They probably couldn't project that he kind of underperformed. But I'm really talking about the other 3 trade deadlines where I just didn't see the potential that came to the roster. It just didn't help them in any way to make a playoff spot. In 2020, they were within 1 game. In 2022, they were within a few games. You just think about if a few wins could have turned into losses. Wouldn't they at least have clinched a tiebreaker game for the final National League wildcard spot? There's a chance there, and yet it didn't happen. They were on significant losing streaks. Don't forget those in 2022. If a few of those games could have changed, if 1 game per losing streak of 5 games or more could have changed, they might be in the playoffs. And that's what went wrong. Very unfortunate in 2022. They're going to have to figure it out in 2023. Thank you for watching. This has been Giants Baseball 101. Please subscribe if you haven't. Please keep the comments and questions coming. I'll try to answer them. I'll see you next time on Giants Baseball 101.